Alright, so I just got a package from my friends at Trident Audio. Let's see what we got. We got Trident EQ 500 series. We got 2 of those. Then we have Trident preamp. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna build a track by recording all the instruments through the 2 preamps that I got. And then after that, I'm gonna use plugins to compress, and then we're gonna use the EQ to EQ our tracks. So let's install these bad boys and let's start recording. Hey guys, just a little disclaimer, Trident is not sponsoring this video, but they kindly sent me these products to review, so I'm happy to make some videos on the preamps and the EQs. Another disclaimer, I had some issues with the routing and recording of the audio from my EQ back into the interface on one of the last tracks, which is the guitar stuck line, so you will not hear the guitar stuck line recording. So let's check out this preamp right here. I'm running, the mic that you hear is running through the preamp, and let's give it a little gain. Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2. All right, so let's check out the low pass. Test test test. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. All right, let's check out the high pass filter. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Okay, cool. Now let's check out the EQ. This is a 4-band EQ. So we're gonna start here at the low frequencies. I'm gonna start on 60 hertz and boost that, see what it sounds like. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Test test test. All right, let's try 120. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. All right, high pass filter is fixed at 50 hertz. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4. Okay, let's check out the low mid knob. Starting at 100 hertz, I'm just gonna boost the signal. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Test test test. Now I'm gonna sweep the frequencies. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. 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 All right, now we're gonna go to the high mids. Same thing. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. 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 Okay, now we'll go to the high band. We'll start on 8K. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. So let's try 12K. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Test test test. 1 2 3 4. Test test test. That is the mic pre and the EQ. Now we're going to switch over to the raw recordings of the instruments I recorded through the Trident mic pre. Okay guys, so let's move on to using the EQs. So what I have to do, since I only have 2 EQs, I'm only able to EQ 2 sources of audio at one time. So I already compressed all the instruments. So the compressed signal is going to be going into these EQs, and I'm going to print them one by one while I'm listening to the mix. So let's just get started. We're going to start with kick on this one, and then we're going to do snare on this one. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the piano. I'm going to be recording the piano with both of these EQs because the piano was recorded in stereo. So here we go. Let's take a listen. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the organ. Same thing with the organ. It was track stereo from the Roland VR09. Going to be using the 2 EQs to EQ the stereo recording. Here we go. So now we're going to move on to the guitar skanks and the bass guitar. So the guitar skanks are going to be on this EQ and the bass is going to be on this EQ for reference. Let's jump into it. Okay, so now that I've EQ'd all of the instruments, I've already got the balance right on the faders, and I've already routed the mix down to this EQ so we can put some EQ on the overall mix. So I'm going to go over the decisions I made with the EQ. So I boosted a little bit at 8K, as you can see. Running this EQ through the mix down, I had to be very sensitive with my decisions because it's you can over exaggerate it big time with these EQs on a mix. Yeah, I just boosted about a little bit of 8K. I boosted a little bit of, looks like 3K, and then I cut a little bit of 1.5K. There was a little bit of harshness going on in that area, so I cut some of that out. And I actually boosted a little bit of 60 hertz. So let's see how this sounds. I'm going to turn it with the EQ off, and then I'm going to turn it on. Here we go. So now that we've EQ'd all of the instruments and we EQ'd the mix down, now I'm going to show you guys the difference between the raw stems and the EQ'd version. And it's a huge, huge difference. I was pretty blown away. It's an insane difference with those EQs, and I know this mix sounds like it needs more compression, but for this one I just wanted to highlight the EQs that Trident sent me. And I want to thank Trident once again for sending these to me. I've never used outboard EQs before. There was a big learning curve and it took more time than I expected. Overall, I think the EQs are amazing, and I think they sound awesome, and they have really good, parameters to work with. It's not fixed parameters, but it's a 4-band EQ. It gives you a pretty good ability to sculpt your sound. I will say that the amount of work that entails with just having 2 EQs and having to mix a whole song is a lot of work. So I probably won't be using EQs, outboard EQs to mix ever, unless I'm, using it on my master bus or for mastering. But I will say the preamps I absolutely love. I think they have amazing characteristics, and I'm so used to hearing, I run a lot of my vocals through my API and my Golden 58, and the Trident, for the price point, it stacks up to those pretty well. So yeah, big up Trident on the preamps. I love them. I recommend anyone going to grab some if you're looking for some new 500 series pre's that won't break the bank. So yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking around through this whole video. I know it was a lot, but I hope it was pretty valuable. So you guys have an awesome one. I'll see y'all on the next video. Much love.